Hi, I'm Lisa from Coffey Talk. I'm at the Bootleg Theater in Los Angeles with Evan Brenner. Evan, your show was amazing, and you wrote it, you performed it, one-man show, you kept going. I don't know how you memorized all this, but how did you come up with this?
Yeah. Well, it was a period in my life where I decided to go back and study Buddhism just for my own interest and sort of self-improvement. And in so doing, I kind of rediscovered the Buddha's life as a great narrative story. And I had seen Alec McCowan do the Gospel of Mark, in which he recites the Gospel according to Mark verbatim on stage. And I thought, wow, if he could do that with the life of Jesus, I wonder if I could do that with the life of the Buddha.
That's brilliant. And what's interesting is, as an actor, that's a character who is larger than life. How did you find that to relate to? How did you bring him to life? Yeah.
Well, the first thing, it was quite a journey to try to imagine what his person would be like. Yeah. And what I think contained in the sutras is a strong, I get a strong message that he was very intent on making sure that people knew that he was just a man, that he was not a god. And it was really tremendous kind of foresight and intelligence on his part, I think, to know that people might want to turn him into a god afterwards. So there's all these messages in the sutras that say over and over again, I am a man. I was just a guy in a body, and I had this great insight about the nature of reality and suffering, and I want to share that with you, but I was a man. He had a bad back. He liked to nap during the day. So taking that idea that he was just a man, it makes it easier. It sort of informed my perception of the character, or my creation of the character, that I wanted to make him a man, like I'm a man, just a guy.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he has this whole journey, and I know that with acting you look for that character arc and everything like that, and there are some definite turning points in this man's life. So how did you find those and articulate them so much?
Well, it was a process. I mean, I didn't have a gospel to go on. I had the Pali Canon, which is about 10,000 pages of story, of basically the oral tradition, and contained within that huge material is the story of the Buddha's life. That's where we get his life. And so I had the opportunity to kind of extract the sequences. There are some that are very basic that a lot of people would put in his life, but there were certainly some choices about episodes to include and not to include. And I constructed it in using a sort of Western storytelling technique, starting with his death, ending with his death, and then sort of having it, I think there's a natural dramatic arc. I do his whole life. A lot of people just do up to his enlightenment, a lot of movies and stuff, because that's sort of the natural crescendo, but I decided to do kind of his whole life.
Which I think is vastly interesting, because it's like he continued to live life as a man, but as a teacher, and with this wisdom that he brought to the world that continues on today. It's just remarkable. What did you take from it so much that you wanted to bring it to other people?
Well, to me, I consider the Buddha's life to be was an ongoing spiritual challenge. I mean, the moment after his enlightenment, he has a doubt about whether or not to teach and how to teach, and it troubled him. And then he sort of worked that out. And then his first teaching experience was a failure. Basically, the guy was like, "Sure, buddy," and left. And he had all sorts of challenges. So all the way through to his death. On his deathbed, that the devil talked to him and sort of tried to tempt him and stuff. For me, one of the main ideas is his humanity. I think was really made it an important. That was to me the arc of his life as a human being was what I found most compelling.
I agree, and I think that his teachings are so timeless. And, like this show is all about ancient wisdom, modern style. And even though this was centuries ago, we can still apply these lessons to our everyday life. How do you think, as the actor who's studied Buddha, can you give us a little bit of insight in how we can apply some of this right now?
Well, I would say he was a kind of a fundamentalist, and I think he would say in his last words, I'll say this, his last words were, "Seek your own salvation with diligence." And one can, depending on what word one stresses, whether or not it's seek or your own or diligence, I like to think that it was seek your own. And I think his idea would be that all of us as individuals in this, troubled world should really work diligently toward our own insight, and sort of try to avoid that temptation to fix other people, but to really work on our own insight.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you so much. Your show was incredible. I hope everybody sees it.
Yeah.
I hope we make it into a movie and it wins an Oscar. And here we go.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming.